Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I have another layout using the Marks & Company Studio Calico kit. I'm showing you some of the leftover papers I'll be using, and I'll be using that chevron. That's still a full sheet. I'm going to use it as the background. And again, I'm trying to use more pattern paper as my background to try to use up, these kits that I get from Studio Calico, because I always get the add-on and the more pattern paper. And at first it was so that I would get, whenever there's a sheet of cutouts, so that I could get that second sheet. But I mean, that's a lot of paper that's left over. So now I'm trying to use the second sheet more as background also, so that when I'm done with a kit, out of all the pattern paper, I might have 4 or 5 sheets left, and I don't mind putting that into my stash and hopefully someday get to use that up. So that chevron is from my mind's eye. Now that red and white polka dot paper, that was actually a piece of scrap that I had cut out a speech bubble for another page, and I kept the outline of it because I thought, well, that's cute. Like, that almost looks like it's the right size for almost like a 3x4 pocket or something like that. So I kept it, and I'm going to use it on this page because I'm going to do a block layout with this page just to try to use up some of these scraps. Again, I did use up a lot of second pattern papers, but there's still a lot of scraps. So what I'm going to do is that script paper that says life is beautiful, yet life is beautiful. I want focus on that square because, it kind of talks about life. It's not always, it doesn't say life is perfect, because it's not. Let's be honest. Everything is not all rosy and, fun and enjoyable. There's struggles. And there's some days that you think, I didn't sign up for this. But the day passes and it gets better. And then it's like a bad experience, you always try to take the positive away from it. And I'm thinking, for me, this is what scrapbooking is to, I just want to focus on the good moments and not all on the struggles. So yes, I believe that we should scrapbook the struggles, but if we focus more on the good stuff, that it does make you, it'll make you happier. It makes you concentrate on the positive and not on the negative of stuff. But anyway, I'm not here to but that's why I wanted to focus on that. I happened to have a struggle that week, and when I did this page, and when I focused on that, and did this page, and this is a picture of my 3 kids and my grandkid, and there's 2 titles on this page. There's a subtitle, and the subtitle is actually bigger than the title, because the subtitle is going to be I love you, and then the title is actually my babies, because my oldest is 26, the one next to her is 20, my son is 14, and my grandson is 11 months old. He's really the only actual baby on this page, but they're all my babies. So that's what I wanted to focus on. So I'm just going to take a whole bunch of scraps, and I didn't necessarily try to find all the scraps that were in this kit, because I've used up so much of this kit. There's some papers that I do not have any scraps at all of it left. So I didn't focus on that. I just focused on getting scraps that fit this layout. So at first, what I do is I make all the blocks pretty big, and then I go back and I say, okay, this one, I'm going to cut it down and find another pattern paper that I'm going to cut down and make it the same size. Okay, so the recording had stopped, and good thing I checked it after 5 or 6 minutes, because I was babbling on and nothing was being recorded. So I hope I remember what I had said the first time, but basically I'm going to play with the placement of all these rectangles and squares. So while I'm doing that, I did have a question, and it came in about half an hour ago, and it's from Tracy Zook, and I hope I said your last name correctly, because I have a habit of I'm horrible with last names. I tend to really mess them up. So she said, question, when you say from, oh, my phone is ringing. Okay, so question, when you say from the kit this month, do you mean August kit you were working through or some January kit? Can't remember if I asked you or someone else. Do you let yourself take things from the new kits, or do you keep them all put together until you get to them? In other words, do you have 5 months worth of kits still packed up untouched? Yes, I do. I have 5 kits worth of kits packed, and I buy these iris kits at Studio Calico, and I have them labeled. You know, like the other day I took out the September kit and I started looking at it, because we're on page 17. I want to know, okay, I already start looking ahead of what I can do with that kit, and I don't draw anything from that kit until I get to that kit. One thing I do though is, once I've played with a kit, I have an area where I put the stuff where it's a used kit. And so I have my current kit in a iris container, so I'll get the stuff from there first. Once I find, okay, there's nothing else that I can put on this page as far as embellishments, then I go to the past kits and try to find stuff from there. And then I also have a third iris kit where I pulled a whole bunch of embellishments that matched with, I think it was the July kit. But I kept it together because I hadn't used a lot, or some of it, but there was still a lot there because I had put a lot of stuff in that kit. And so I pulled from there instead of thinking of everything from my room. So that was the first question. The second question, and I mean, I think my brain was on vacation too, because here I was writing down everybody's questions, because I can't touch my computer because it'll stop the recording, but I was like, duh, your phone. So now I can just read it from my phone, which is a whole lot less time consuming than writing everybody's questions down. Okay, so also, do you do a final video when you finish with a monthly kit that shows all the layouts you made with it and what's left over? Fun to see the final results. Yes, I do. After I'm finished with a kit, I do a kill a kit video, and what I do is I show all the layouts and what's left over, but also I have playlists on my YouTube channel, so I'll put each kill a kit video is on each of the playlists. So if you go to my playlist and you look at Planetarium, you can find the kill a kit video. You can see all the pages I made with that kit, and then all the videos are there. I mean, I might have missed one or two or something, but I tried to make sure that all the videos are there. Or if you see something on Pinterest, you see something on 2Ps or Studio Calico, I uploaded them and said exactly what kit I was using, so you can go back to a playlist and find the video instead of looking through 170 some videos. So I have them all divided by playlist. So I hope that helps. So now I, just kept playing with all the different squares and rectangles. So at first what I do is I make bigger rectangles, and then I cut them down wherever I feel like it needs a break in the pattern paper. Now at the bottom of the layout, I did a fairly big rectangle, that blue and cream stripe, and that's because my subtitle, which is going to be bigger than my title, is going to fit right there. And then where that black pattern paper at the top was so dark compared to the rest of the pattern papers, I added 2 more spots where I added some pattern paper that had black and cream. So now that I have, most of the pattern papers where I want them, I might still need to touch them up a little bit. I want to start working on my embellishments. Well, these asterisks in chipboard they didn't come in red. There was only yellow, gray, and blue. And I'm trying to use up, like I said, stuff from the kit that I got from this month's kit. So I took a Copic marker and I changed the color on 3 of them. And I colored them in red and they look awesome. So I like doing that. I like changing the colors of embellishments. Another thing I do is I love buying the plain little blings that are just clear. And I use my Copic markers and I change the color on those too. You can do that on staples. So you can, staple something and then just change the color of the staple so it's not gray. Anything metal, anything plastic, you can change the color. So that little piece of pattern paper was just a little too big to fit in the space that was left over. And I didn't want to have to, it was easier to cut down one little pattern paper instead of having to cut down the rest of the row, like where the photo was, like underneath. And I didn't want to cut down the photo either. So now it's going to fit. I just measured so that it would, line up with that speech bubble pattern paper. And what I did with that speech bubble is I took, it was just leftover from my stash, and it's just a grid, and I stuck it in behind that speech bubble. So that's where I'm going to do my journaling. And I'm going to glue down my photo, and it is a 5x7. And it's a fairly recent photo. I just picked it up, I believe it was last week, early last week, or maybe, yeah, I'd say it was last week or the weekend before. And so I'm excited with scrapbooking pictures that are new to me anyway. I mean, they're not like yesterday's pictures, but they're more recent than what I've been scrapbooking. So I'll probably, be scrapbooking recent pictures for a little bit. And I believe my ink is in. I just, they dropped it by this morning, but I worked a night shift, so I never heard nothing. So we have to go to Pure later around 6 p.m. and pick it up. So I have to go pick up my husband in town anyway. So he was away for work, and it was just a day trip, but he has a rental car, so I have to go pick him up. So I'll pick up my ink so I can hopefully start my my project life this weekend. So I want to work on that. So I had a few of those cork hearts that came in this month's kit. Now I'm just testing to see if those little chipboard are, if the color's coming off, and it is not. So that's good. So now I'm going to take my marker, my journaling marker, and I'm going to outline every square. And whenever I do a page like this where it's a block, I never outline before, because to me it's just too much of a pain because there's so many blocks, and then to put them back exactly where they belong. I just do it directly on the page, and I'm just careful. And even if I go off, there's so much going on. I don't think that, somebody would go like, oh, you went off right there. So I don't worry about that. It just makes it easier for me. And now I'm going to work on, there was a few spots that the pattern paper was kind of lifting. So I just glued it down with my favorite glue, my quick dry adhesive. And now I'm going to staple down that little tab that said currently. And I stapled it, and it just went through the tab and nothing else. So this is some fancy pants letters that came in this month's kit, and they're a nice cream. And I'm going to color them again with that same Copic marker so it coordinates with this page, just so it stands out a little bit more. Now I have this frame that came in this month's kit, and I only have, I believe, maybe one more. And so all the frames will be used up. Yay! And I think that frame from Dear Lizzie, that was the last frame. So I've used up all those frames. And so, I'm not going to have anything to show from there. So I don't know if I should write a little note that, that says I've used all that up. I'll have to remember because I threw out all the packaging. So, because usually I had stuff left, at least one thing left from everything. But this month I seem to have used up a lot of stuff. So I'm going to put that heart with the cork in the middle, or the cork with the heart in the middle. Yes, I'm going to use that as part of my title, and this is, or my subtitle, and I'm going to use my Tim Holtz letters, and inside that little frame is where I'm going to put my babies, and it just says Simply Lovely. And then the other frame says Celebrate Today, and I put a heart next to it. And then I put that other heart on that speech bubble with one of those asterisks. And now I'm going to put down that subtitle, which is bigger than my title. It just says, I love you. And there was a little piece of that doily, and I just stuck it there with that other frame so that there's another little spot that has a little bit of doily. And now I'm looking to see if there's any of those speech bubbles that I could use. And I don't think there is, so I'm going to not do that. And then I want to put some more of those letters. So at the top there, I just put our last name, Jones. And then next to the subtitle, I'm going to put the date with those little letters. So I'm just going to put 2013. And then I put September next to it in a little bit. So I have, even with those little tiny letters, I have a visual triangle with those too. So I'm looking, these are Amy Tan or, cut and paste stickers. I was trying to see if I could use some of those. I didn't use a lot of them this month, but there was none that kind of went with this page, so I put them away. Now I'm going to ball up some twine. I'm going to put it in 3 different areas. I'm using my Scotch Quick Dry Adhesive to glue it down. And for some reason they gave, I never choose glossy for my pictures. I rather have matte. You know what? I chose matte, and my 4x6 pictures all came in matte, but all my 5x7 came in glossy. So I don't know what happened, but I still scrapped them. So I'm going to put 2 types of Mr. Huey, black and red. And I'm going to show you a few close-ups and then a few still pictures. And that's it. The page is done. So probably a page uploaded for the next few days, every second day, because I just finished my rotation today and I have no pages ahead. Well, I started one this morning when I came home from my shift, but it's not done. So thanks for watching. Bye.